Okay, Ken.
Okay, planning board meeting is now open, November 12th. First thing on our agenda is Gatsby Gardens for bond release. Step up, state your name for the record.
Good evening, Niall Zager from Outback Engineering. We're here before you tonight because we believe we've satisfactorily completed all the items on the review engineer's comments. I've also brought revised as-built plans that I had forwarded to the town in email form, and also printed pictures of the site just so you have a representative, idea of what's going on out there and what we're looking to do.
I have that as well here if you want me to make copies so you can look at it.
No, because this is basically, we only had 5 items that needed to be finished, completed. John, have you been to this?
Yeah, I met Steve Francesca out there a couple weeks ago, and there were only a couple minor things that he pointed out. Just some debris, and they wanted the chain link fence between the 2 lots, at the edge of lot 4 to be removed, and I believe the other was the bounds.
Right.
Henry, did you want to larger one?
And according to this,
It was done, yeah, and I went out there myself, right after getting this letter, and confirmed, yeah, the things have been done.
so,
It looked good.
with that, we can,
So are we going in on money or giving money back?
no, we're going to give everything back except for whatever bills that Maureen has that are due,
Do we have engineers?
You're gonna sign one tonight. There's
which,
some left in the project, and there's the bond fund. Tonight's bill should be the last. I'll check with Mitch.
yeah, so let's just, we can release it,
The remaining funds,
the remaining funds.
pending any other invoices.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make the motion to that effect.
Second.
And that was seconded for discussion. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous?
Yes.
Thank you.
We're all set.
Have a good night.
We have, now, Maureen, you do have new updated as-bills?
Yeah.
I have the email copy, and then I have that one that you just left. Russ, did not vote on that, did you?
No.
I know.
All right, take care.
This is dated 10/31, is that the same one you have? This is the final as-built. Did you want to look at it? Francis?
No. Mitch already did. Okay, Mill Pond, request for extension of time to act. Please state your name for the record.
My name is James B. Williams, of 225 Mill Street in Raynham. I am a trustee of Mill Street Realty Trust, which is the owner of the property shown on the plan. The plan shows a 20-lot open space subdivision, which is 19 lots on the easterly side of the pond and 1 lot on the westerly side of the pond, which is my home. We have previously gone through the National Heritage because the site was deemed a potential habitat for eastern box turtles, and we've gone through that. We've received interim approval from them, and one of the next steps would be to go through the Conservation Commission now that we've gone through the National Heritage and gotten their tentative approval. And we've submitted the plans to the Raynham Planning Board, and at one of your previous meetings, you granted an extension of the time to act to December 31st of 2013. My purpose here tonight is to seek a further extension to December 31st, 2015.
What was the original
I'm sorry?
date? It's in the, he gave us a letter.
I sent John a letter,
The
yeah.
original date of what, Dan?
the original date that the plan was approved?
2008. Well, the plan was submitted 2008.
It wasn't approved.
No,
No.
So it was submitted in 2008.
the definitive plans were submitted in 2008.
Okay, and when was it approved?
It has not been approved. As soon as I submitted it, I asked the board not to take any action on it, and you granted an extension on your time to act at that time.
So what are we gaining by continuing to extend it for another 2 years?
Well, the economic conditions are really tough now.
No, I understand that, but why don't you basically just, you can either withdraw it or the time to act's gonna run out and just resubmit it.
Well, the property has been on the market, and I am trying to sell it as a potential 20-lot subdivision, subject to the approvals that are from your board and those other approvals that are required. I
Well,
just wanted to keep it active. That was the only reason.
So the only extension you're really getting from the board is time to act extension.
That's it, yes.
Did you have to file, did you file, you must have filed filing fees and everything at that time?
Everything is filed, yes.
And with the town
All of the
clerk?
filing fees are in your hands.
Was it filed with the town clerk as well?
Yes, I believe it was, yeah.
What are we holding?
You,
Are we holding any money right?
Just the fees. It hasn't been.
in 2009, our fee schedule is the same as it is today.
There's never been a hearing where you said.
No, it was continued. It wouldn't
We
be,
never advertised.
No, never even much action.
yeah, so,
What are we doing then? Well, are we?
well, basically, extended time to act, it's almost like extension of the filing.
Because it was formally submitted according to
Yeah, so it doesn't get approved.
the general laws.
Right.
Did it have to be advertised, right?
No, Jim asked us to hold off.
Well, it wouldn't be fair if I didn't tell you that later in tonight's meeting, we are reviewing our fee schedule. And if you have this extended for another 2 years, you're not going to be able to withdraw it. Well, I guess you would be able to withdraw it at any time, but it would almost be beneficial for you to, if it's December.
Would the fees that I previously paid would they lock me in, or would I be subject to
No,
the fees that you?
fees may be going down.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going down. Oh, nobody ever does that.
Well,
Nobody ever. Nothing ever goes down.
Christmas time.
yeah, I'm just, you know,
Sorry?
You need to listen to what Dan's saying.
I'm just, you know, like I said, it wouldn't be fair if I didn't mention to you that, and it is substantial, so.
Oh,
Now, what did
okay.
you pay for fees for this?
Gee, I'd have to ask you, Maureen, I don't,
What-
it was 30 some odd thousand.
What I,
think, or
listen,
better.
we have another meeting, December 5th.
Why don't we give him this extension? And then if he wants to withdraw sometime, let him do it.
Well, not really, do we want to extend for 2 more years, basically for a submittal? What are we extending?
That's why
I thought we had already did some,
No, we haven't done
It's
anything.
because it's already been, what,
Well,
5 years?
We've had
We've had
a
2008.
lot of meetings along the way.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
If you approve a reduction in your fees tonight, when would it become effective?
it's not, we haven't spoken about that, so I really can't say.
I
Okay.
think they become effective immediately.
Well,
Could it be immediately?
No.
Okay.
Well, it could be, if the board wants that, we were.
Or it could be
We
January
were
1st.
we were thinking of maybe keeping things
Mhm.
even physically. The only thing I'm saying is, at this point right now, if I were you, we have a meeting on December 5th. If you, we can continue you until December 5th, and why don't you see what the results are for the fees, and you look at refiling. I just think,
All right.
you will be,
Why don't
Even
I,
if we keep, part of the fee, I think you still may be better. I think you should listen to Dan.
why don't I withdraw it tonight?
and call Maureen, she'll put you on
Thank
for the
you.
5th. And then you come back that night, and then if you,
I won't be here on the 5th.
that's fine, we know this, we know the plan. If you want to continue for the 2 years, just file your letter again and ask for it.
If he withdraws.
If I withdraw tonight,
No, you're not withdrawing tonight.
I can't. Okay.
No, not all of it, because we've had.
Yeah, we'll keep some of it, but not, it's not gonna
You'll
be,
still be way better off.
yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah,
appreciate
I wouldn't withdraw, I would just,
Just wait and see what happens.
continue,
All right.
continue your request until the 5th. And if you want to withdraw, then just ask for withdrawal
Very good,
on the 5th, and then, from now to then, you can decide. I
very
just-
good, thank you very much.
All right? So Maureen, why don't you continue that until December 5th, and we can put it on, put it for the 6:05.
6:05.
Yeah, 6:05. Carriage Hill Estates, Phase 2, bond reduction. Okay, you're gonna,
Russ, what-
you're abstaining?
Yeah.
Yes, state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name's Matt Dacey from Champion Builders, representing Norwood Bank. I'm here with Vice President of the bank, John Crowley. The NISH report that is dated November 5th
Mm-hmm.
It's in your package, so you don't have it.
shows a reduction of the money that was posted.
Yes.
And obviously, it's a significant amount, but, I don't know.
What are we holding now, sir?
I'm sorry?
How much are we holding now?
I think it's $320,000 cash. That was the, or 328, that was the initial. 329?
Is,
Okay.
what form of bond is that?
Cash bond.
And you want to reduce it to the 62,700?
I think it should be reduced even more.
Well, that's what Judith Lynch is saying, 62.
At that point in time, but we completed a lot of this, 30, 31, 33, 34, 35, and part of 36, which they say isn't completed, so I think that, obviously, we'll take the reduction as much as possible, but I'd like to maybe have another bite at the apple, because I think it's a little bit off.
Do you want to give us time then to get another letter from Judith Mitch? And put it on for the 5th?
Just take the reduction now and get it.
Well, I don't think you're going to get a reduction now. I think what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to, we're going to vote on what we have in front of us.
No, he knows that, he's just asking.
Well, I think he thinks he's going to get more of a reduction than what we have.
Well, no, if he can,
Applied for another one anyway.
right, he can,
Yeah,
between now and the
December
5th.
yeah, obviously, right, yeah, I was asking John that.
Yeah.
It's only 2 weeks and the interest rate's at .04, whatever, so you're not saving that much money. So do you want to put it on for the 5th, talk to Judith Mitch, see whether you can get some of these big items in here, which is roughly $33,000? Or do you want to take it down to the 62 and then come back at some latter point in time?
I think we can, take it down to the 62, and then we'll revisit it. I can confirm everything.
And again, if you plan on coming back on the 5th, then I'd suggest that immediately you ask for...
An inspection.
You ask for reinspection, because we'll be back in 2 weeks, yes, Brooke?
I'm wondering, the things you say are done, and they don't seem to think are done, are they things that were done after November 5th?
Yeah, that's what he said, yeah.
Potentially, or, again, this was dated November 5th, they might have been out there November 1st.
You're
you know what I mean?
right,
So
you're right.
Cash payment.
we were trying to do the town meeting thing, and we missed some dates, so we pretty much have everything completed. Except with, so obviously, a little bit will be held back, but
All right, well, let's stick to what we have.
I'll make a
and then-
motion that the bond be reduced, the cash bond we're holding be reduced to the sum of $62,070, subject to Niche Engineering's letter dated November 5th, 2013.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
with Russ abstaining?
Russ abstaining.
All right?
do I get the check tonight, or
No, sir.
how does that work?
You can come back tomorrow, I guess, Maureen.
We'll submit it Monday, so you should get it Thursday.
You'll send it to the bank,
Do you
I'll
want
pick it up?
it mailed?
There's
Picked up?
Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. I don't, yeah.
We don't carry the checks in our
We're closed Friday.
drawer,
No,
sorry.
right.
No,
Sorry.
sorry,
All right,
forgot about
do you
that.
have
that
his
much
name and
I
number?
do, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll call you,
Tomorrow.
Okay,
and you can send
Thank
someone
you.
from the bank to pick it up.
appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Okay, we have public hearing for planning board fee schedule. Everybody, after our last few meetings, hope had a chance to review the fee schedules. And, yeah, we had, go ahead, public hearing.
Public hearing notice in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 81Q. The Raynham Planning Board would hold a public hearing on Thursday, November 7th, 2013, at 6:15 PM. Is that a mistake?
We canceled our last meeting.
Okay. Said meeting having been canceled and continued to tonight, to consider amendments to the Raynham Planning Board rules and regulations governing fees and fee schedules adopted January 29th, 1999, last revised November 15th, 2012, Section 3, Administrative Fees, 3.3, Schedule of Administrative Fees. Any person wishing to be heard or interested in the proposed amendments to the Planning Board fee schedule should appear at the time and place so designated as amended. A completed copy of the proposed amendments may be viewed in full at the Raynham Town Clerk's office during regular business hours. Raynham Planning Board, Daniel J. Andre, Chairman, published in the Taunton Daily Gazette on October 23rd and October 30th, 2013.
Okay, thank you, Henry. We have, we had a fee schedule that was sent out to everybody, and we had copies at our last meeting dated September 10th. We had one, Table 3, definitive subdivision, Form C. Burke had a comment that on the additional fees, it says base fee $2,000 with Form B, $2,500 without Form B, and on the additional fees, it says $500 plus $3 per linear foot, and $450 per linear foot for cluster development. And Burke suggested taking out the $500 and keeping it to the linear footage, and I think that's fine. Looking at the surrounding towns, John did a full breakdown of all the surrounding towns, looking at how they do it, and it makes sense that it's based on linear footage, because that's what the maintenance, that's what the town is assuming for maintenance after. So the reason why the cluster is a little more, because it is shorter roadways, because of cluster development. So Fall River, Taunton, a lot of the bigger cities are doing it with the linear footage, and I did a scenario with a 10-lot subdivision. And even though the filing fee, the base filing fee was a lot less, when you do the calculations of a 1,700-foot road of a 10-lot subdivision, it's more than we currently get today. So, but then you add it all together, and it's still significantly,
It's a more flexible fee schedule.
right.
Less of a one-size-fits-all.
It's, right, it's something that there's absolutely no way anybody could argue the fee schedule. Because it's based on actual maintenance, future maintenance of a road. So, with that said, Russ, did you have any additional comments? You got the highlighted, the red highlighted?
Yeah, I saw that version, and, that puts it all within what everybody else has.
I think
Makes it more
it's a good
reasonable.
thing. It still, we'll still be near the top of the region, but we will, right as it stands now, we're far and above, beyond what the next highest town is with a lot of these fees.
And then the other thing was, we were talking, instead of making it like starting next week, or December 1st, if we did start at January 1st, where everything would be clean for 2014.
Yeah, I think that's
I don't think we have anything big coming up at this point in time, so. And that would give Maureen and John time to redo the pages for the fees.
But I can say, if we're all in agreement with the numbers.
So this is the only change you want to make?
That was it.
Well, and we did talk about one other, Dan. There was another memo dated September 10th where I know the board had talked about its abbreviated site plan review.
Yeah, now, is that in there, though? I thought that was a separate.
We can talk, if the board's not ready to talk about it tonight, we can talk about it another time.
Well, no, I don't want to confuse them with
Okay.
what they already received.
Gotcha.
That fees, what you're talking
What
about,
is the abbreviated site plan review?
Well, I know that FedEx was an example of this where
FedEx situation.
where some members of the board felt that the abbreviated site plan review needed to be a little bit more flexible if someone comes in with a revision that doesn't impact the building footprint.
They had
at all.
parking lot changes that they were making, and they had to pay $22,000 for a filing fee
The site plan?
for parking spaces, because it's based on the square footage of the building. So that's what we are,
Because right now, it's a base fee of $250 plus 25 cents per square foot of the total building, and that's it.
I thought you changing it to $500.
No.
that's not even in here. It's a different,
Yeah, so, okay, so let's stick to the fees that we have.
it's a different fee.
Oh, but we're not addressing it tonight?
We can, but it's not in this packet. So this packet here is,
So this is what we're voting on tonight.
that's what we're gonna vote on.
Okay. The only change then is the deletion of the $500 on the definitive, right?
It's definitive subdivision, Form C. You have the base fee, and then the additional fee, it's gonna be $3 per linear foot and $4.50 per linear foot for cluster, period.
On top of the 2,000.
On top of the base
2,000
fee.
slash 2,500.
Right.
Gotcha.
So on these, based on these fees, anything else, John, on,
No, that was it, basically, that was the only tweak since it was first presented to the board.
okay. Now, the fees that this other one that we're talking about now, is that gonna require another public hearing?
That's why I wanted to talk about it tonight, because while we're talking about fees, this
Is that
is
gonna
encompassed
require-
within fees. It wouldn't require a new public hearing, because we're here talking about fees.
But if I don't take that after this,
Or you could continue the public hearing to discuss this.
Continue, let's do what we think is the
Yep.
final, and let's look at it and vote on the paper that's in front of us.
And I can redistribute the other memo, and we
Okay.
can talk
all
about it
right,
next
and
meeting.
then we'll do them all, and then we'll do that all together, because we're gonna do it for January 1st.
So, we need to discuss any tonight for,
With everything that we have,
Yeah.
I would rather you email, it's only one page, one
Yeah.
short sheet
that we're adding on to.
that we're gonna add on to.
And that's on the,
And that's on the minor site plan.
But Dan, if you guys want to vote on that portion of the fees tonight, you certainly.
no, I think Burke.
Well, I think like
could do
Brett
the
just
whole
said,
thing.
Okay,
we
we'll
can,
wait.
we can do it on December 5th, because
Okay.
we're gonna make it active.
Well, let's vote on the whole thing with the paper, the finished paper in front of us.
Right, and make that change with the deletion.
Gotcha.
John, make that change with the deletion of the 500.
Okay,
Gotcha.
so Maureen, can you put that on for the same time for December 5th?
Oh, 6:10, right after Jim Wales.
Yep. And that way there, that will be, and then we'll have a final sheet that basically will go to press, that's it. When what you bring back to us, and if you can email that off to everybody, then that one, that fee schedule will go into the book.
So what I'll do is I'll present it as it will look in the subdivision resolution.
All right, very good. Okay, so that's, did anybody here from the public, general public, had any comments, questions about the fees? No?
No one wants to complain that they're going down.
Okay,
Make a
so,
motion that we continue the public hearing until our next meeting on December 5th
At 6:10,
at 6:10.
second.
all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, FedEx, minor modification to a site plan.
I don't see anybody here.
Okay. Lincoln Woods.
Oh, you're in for that?
No, it's 25.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, how we doing?
I don't know if you guys remember me. I
We
remember
do.
you.
I do.
For the record, could you state your name and address?
Matt Cashmanian, 70 Maple Street. I was here in August and met in front of you with several of the people in the residency of Lincoln Woods to go over some of the issues, and we submitted a 3 or 4 page letter to you guys in advance.
We meaning you and the residents?
Yes.
Are the residents here tonight?
No, just me tonight. I'm just here for I'm here for my own personal follow-up.
Do we have that in our file?
No, there's nothing.
So we don't have that? in there?
Okay, keep going.
I'd like to show you guys something if I would, because before I
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Before I left that meeting on August 15th, I had to leave. You can see I have 2 little boys, so I had to leave. Mr. Hamilton from the development came and spoke to you guys.
Oh, yeah, I write a check for 60 grand.
You can improve it into the road.
But I still had to write a check for 60 grand.
Where are you going with this?
You'll see it right
I
here.
still wrote the check and did everything the board asked me.
Is this
I'm down to 2 cul-de-sacs to
meeting?
finish this place, and I can't get permits. Now going into winter,
I can't get permits, is what I wanted to address. Because
When was that, just for the record?
this was August 15th,
At the Raynham?
right here in this room, after I left.
And who was speaking there? Just
That was Mr. Hamilton from the,
Todd
who
Hamilton?
owns it. Can't get permits is what was said in that meeting, and it was addressed several different times with you. I think, Dan, that you had many conversations about the unhappiness of some of the people in the Lincoln Woods. Can't get permit, I wrote down some notes from that. I can't get permits for 2 lots. About 4 minutes later, I'd like to clean up and leave and get out of there. Houses would have been finished and already done, I would have been gone. Love to get the permits and get out of there. I have an orange dump truck. That was about 3 minutes after that.
So I remember he was talking about getting permits, and he did come in front of us
Yep.
several times for different, he was going back and forth with the building department and stuff, so.
Are we holding a bond? You holding a bond?
Yes.
How much?
131, 269.
131,000?
Yeah, I took a ride through there again today, about 4:30. And the only thing that I saw was changed was that old dump truck, and the cul-de-sac was gone. They basically took the pipes out, put them on the ground. That was in the back of the truck. There's an excavator doing some work on Lot 1. Looks like they're starting to put a foundation in. There's another foundation in the back that looks like,
Near the Cashmanian's house, there was a backload of movements of soil around.
yeah, well, there was that big pile that's still there, which, again, like,
It's gone down a little bit.
like we said in our previous meeting, I do have your letter. I reviewed it again before the meeting, just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. And we talked about the left-hand side driving in was untrimmed. Well, it looked like there was, 15 feet of grass, or roughly 15 feet of grass that was grass. The only thing that I saw that we had asked them, common sense would say, why don't you just fill in that 2-foot strip between the sidewalk and the curbing, especially it's going to help hold back the curbing if there's any plow issues. We're not the developer. We are not, it is not a town road. Unfortunately, you people are on a private way, a private road that's an approved subdivision. When the time comes that he is ready to have that accepted by the town, then we go out and we do our inspections. If there's any damage, if there's curbing needs to be replaced, all of those things are gonna have to be addressed. It's not something that we do have a bond. When you were showing me that video, he did say that he put up $60,000, and after that, we did find out that he didn't put up any money. What he did was he went and completed a bigger portion of the subdivision. He put the finished pavement on, he did sidewalks. Why he didn't finish and just fill in some dirt and do some minor little things, that's cosmetic. Again, I can't answer that for you.
Let me address this next question to you directly, because I think in the last meeting, you've referenced that you had about 25 years of construction experience building houses. Typically, how long does it take from start to finish to build a house if you were to start and, get the process? You get your permit and you start.
It could take us 4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months. That's kind of what I was under the assumption of. You drove in, you said, in Lot 1, and you saw that lot. Is there 4 or 6 months worth of work done in that first?
But see, that's not up to us to decide. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not our job to make sure somebody finishes building. They can put a foundation in. The road, the curbing isn't ruined, and even if the curbing was ruined, even at this point in time, it's his responsibility. It's his road. He has to plow it, he has to maintain it. It's a civil matter at this point. If the neighbors have, everybody that signed your sheet, if you have issues, you're living on a private road, basically.
So what's the discretion of this board to have this project finished and completed within a certain reasonable time? And I think it was originally 10 years. He's asked for extensions that were given. That's now 14 years from what
But
you
since
said.
the last meeting, I did check after that meeting, and he did go in and he completed. He put the finish on the roadway, put the finish topping on the road. He went in and finished topping on sidewalks. Well, you have a finished top coat on your road, don't you?
That's been like that for, before
Since-
that meeting the other day.
Oh, I understand that. 2 years ago, we asked him for, and not just him, we sent out letters to all of our developments that were not completed. We sent out a letter asking them to either increase their bond amount, because, we're going by years. We're giving, even the state gave a 2-year more extension to all of permitting because of the way the economy was. So basically, we said, okay, well, if we're going to give these extensions, we want a little more money for security. So we said, you either have to give us money for security or go in and start finishing some of the roads. So he elected to go and finish the road, and we have all that information in the file.
In this statement where he says, I want to just get the permits and get out of here, it's referenced several times that I read to you. That's an inaccurate statement, because Lot 1, the very first one as you drove in, from what the building inspector's office told us, August 5th that permit was issued. Lot 15, which is on the cul-de-sac of Maple Street, that, with a foundation in there as well, that permit was issued April 27th.
Yes,
And Lot 16,
but the thing is,
August
the thing
8th.
is, for the subdivision that this board approved, that has nothing to do with building permits. It just doesn't have.
See the building inspector for that?
Yeah, he goes to the building inspector. He told us that he was having a hard time getting permits. And
Sounds
in
like he
fact-
has all 3 permits from what I'm
I'm sorry, I
hearing.
didn't see behind me. And in fact, I know for a fact that he was. He kept going back and forth with this board. But you had something to,
Well, I understand your frustration, but it's not our place. We don't have the right to make somebody be smart and efficient. And I'm not saying he is or isn't, but obviously you think he isn't. I don't know, I'm not making a judgment call.
I didn't say that.
But-
I just
but-
looking for
But even if
timeline.
this board
Yeah.
totally agreed with you,
Yeah.
we have no control.
Do you
The
guys have
only
any control
thing-
with timelines at all?
The only thing we can do, we have a bond, we can call it.
We
Now,
have ground.
the system is set up by the state, and we don't have any control over that. The state tells us, this is what you have to do, this is the only thing you can take from them.
So my
We
question
would,
to you.
we don't like bonds. We want cash, but the state says you have to also take this or this or this. And we've gone through this for 40 years with, when a recession hits, some developments that aren't done go under, and we have to call the bonds, and now we go to court and argue with a bonding company and an insurance company for 2, 3, 4 years. And unfortunately, as much as we don't like how some people drag, I can tell you, court's a lot slower,
Sure.
and you don't always win.
and I think I'm sorry, go ahead, Burke, Henry.
Actually, this is for you, Ian Burke. The money that we're holding is for specific things that have to be done. Have any of those things not been done that we can call part of the bond, maybe to move him along?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I admit, I don't know that much about bonds. Can you call part of a bond? I don't think so.
Well, then we can
But-
call the whole thing, if he's in default, of what the bond covers.
He met everything that we required. We did give him an extension. We did send out a letter, and we did ask him for either increase his bond amount or do complete
Mhm.
X, A, B, and C. He did that. I checked in the file with Maureen after the last time. Like I said, the first time, it was probably,
Well,
the
let me ask you-
houses, the
let me ask you
lawns,
this.
the
When you-
yards,
when-
everything was so nice. Even today, I drove in there, and
That's
the
because the residents
sidewalks.
care about where they live.
But I understand that, but it's, and again, you care where you live, but the roadway, there's no damage in the roadway, the catch basins are all to grade, the
So-
sidewalks are in.
When we issued our certificate of action, there's a time limit for the subdivision to be completed.
Extensions, and the state gave him an extension.
Right. And has he completed the subdivision in accordance with our certificate of action?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Yes, that's why
Okay.
I said, he did
Then-
everything that we asked him to do.
Then what Dan said earlier remains.
So
It's
when
a
does that
civil case.
extension run out? When does he have to come and say, I'm either done or I need another extension?
What does he have left to do, I guess is the first.
That's what I'm asking.
He has, there are two houses on the Maple Street cul-de-sac. There's one as you drive in.
The houses don't matter.
He doesn't ever have to build a house. If he comes in and puts in the road, puts in the sidewalks, we give him the blessing, and
Yeah.
we have nothing more to do with it. He can build one house a year for the next 30, 40 years if you want. We don't control that.
The only thing that I saw, right up to this afternoon, that needs to be completed is filling in 2.5 feet of loom between the sidewalk and the curbing, and finishing off the pavement on the two cul-de-sacs.
Well-
He needs a permanent street sign for Maple.
And
So
he-
why don't we send him a letter telling him
We-
these things need to be done?
And actually,
Well,
if I could,
we did that at the last
Oh, okay.
meeting, and he came in front of us and he said that he was going to,
Well, what about the sign and filling
But
in the
it
dirt?
sounds to me like he's got
and if I could
$10,000
bring
worth
the
of
board
work
up
to
to
do.
speed.
yeah, go ahead.
I started on August 26th. In my first week on the job, myself and the town administrator went out and met with Mr. Kashminian at his property. And since then, I've had a couple conversations with Mr. Hamilton, acknowledging the fact that the board has limited leverage as the board has stated tonight. I've had friendly conversations with him, trying to encourage him to move the subdivision along, but at this point, that's basically the best I can do. So I have been.
So now you mentioned something about a sign, a permanent sign.
Yeah, one of the conditions of approval is a permanent sign for Maple, and that's obviously a temporary street sign that's up there now. When I spoke to Mr. Hamilton, he said he's put it up there a couple times and it's been stolen.
It happens.
So,
The permanent sign?
yeah, the permanent sign. So at this point, he's not
Well,
willing to
maybe,
put in a
but
permanent sign until
If
it's.
the board agrees, maybe we could have John just forward a letter to Mr. Hamilton again.
Well, let's do something a little bit better. Let's invite him in to see us.
We've done that. I really don't want to see him again.
Well, neither do I, because I've seen him
I
for
mean,
the last 15 years.
It's just not something that, there's nothing more that we can do. If you want to call a bond on something that is so,
Minuscule?
yes, it is.
I'm
we're-
tempted.
Well, it's, I would suggest that you read through the file and see everything that he's done with our letters, and you'll see that there's really not much that, the only suggestion I would ask is if the board would agree for John to send a letter asking for that sign. Winter's coming. We have homeowners living in there. We have, it's more of a
Safety issue?
safety issue than anything else. And then the other thing is, ask him if he has any intentions on putting some material between the berm and the sidewalks, because with winter coming, he's going to be doing plowing, and we would hate to have to see him replace all of his curbing throughout the subdivision where he doesn't have that material.
Does that, if a plow hits it, will the curbing cave
Well, it's
in?
been like that for probably, I don't know, a couple of years, or,
Is it a safety issue, by the way? Because it is.
he has sidewalks.
Can I pause you right there? Because I want to jump in right on safety issue. You seem to have a concern with it, and I know you do, Dan. This is the cul-de-sac on Maple Street, okay? Chunks of concrete, giant hill, snowplow, and now a giant new truck in there. You want to talk safety issue?
Yeah, but that's.
Well, we've been through that.
But that's a
Is
construction.
there anything you guys can do for that?
No, that's a construction site. That's private property.
With all due respect, it is a construction site, but it is homes where there are children and kids. Is there anything you guys can do for that?
Yeah, I think you can go to the building inspector, and that may be a public nuisance that he can take out
No,
a
you
criminal
can't. No.
complaint.
You-
Yeah, I think you
you're
can.
talking about- No, you
If
can't.
he wants to hire an attorney and bring an action for nuisance,
Yeah.
so be it.
Can you guys make a friendly
You
request?
bought, you didn't buy the last house in a subdivision. You bought, I don't know, what phase you bought into a
I
subdivision.
don't think that at this point there is a phase when you're 14 years in, so you probably know that better than anyone.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
Like
this
I-
is,
like
this
I
is,
said-
I mean,
This board has
this,
been
you know,
dealing
you
with
saw
it for a
I have
long
two
time.
kids, and there's about 15 or 20 other little kids in there, and they play on the rocks. God forbid anyone, this kid's trying to sled down there and cracks his head, there's a lawsuit. It's a safety concern for all the children. It is a construction zone, but it also is a family neighborhood.
Right, yes, Burke.
If you look at the plan and you look at the layout of the road, the things that go on in the layout of the road, we have say over. Things outside of that, the lots, nothing to do with us. We have no control,
So
no
as
say.
residents of the town, what kind of leverage or what kind of
Like I said earlier,
assistance do we seek? Who do we seek out to help us out?
Like I said earlier, it's a civil matter because you're living in a subdivision that is not accepted as a town way at this point.
Can this board or can John reach out and have a discussion about that and try to speak on our behalf? Do you have the ability to do
We've done that. We did that at the last
Can
time.
you do it again?
I just told John to ask.
Specifically that hill and the snowplow?
No, we can't talk about, we
That's-
can't tell him to move the
that's his
hill.
problem.
We did talk to him when he came in front of us at the meeting. I did ask him about the hill, and he said it's under construction. It's just, it's a construction site.
And we're holding $131,000, and he doesn't seem to care
And
about that?
I even told him, it's common sense. I just don't understand. But again, like Brett said, we can't direct people to have common sense. I have no idea why the few things that are not done. The construction trucks and those things, he can put a flag and put barriers at the end of the street. It's private property at this point.
And like I said, I've had a couple, 2 or 3 friendly conversations with him, trying to encourage him to get things done, and I believe.
Maybe if one of the kids do fall and get hurt on a rock, maybe they will, maybe then.
Is that what it's gonna have to come down to?
Maybe then you'll have a hire a
No.
lawyer and deal with it in
Well,
court.
but at the same time, that is his private property, so.
When you have a construction site, and it's usually when you have an open hole and construction worker falls in, what department of the state, OSHA's federal, but is there
No,
some?
OSHA, building first would be the building department, but then it would be going, OSHA would get a,
No, so if you think the government would do anything, but I don't think so.
Is there anything local that our building inspector can do?
I don't think having a mound of dirt on your property, and I'm not an expert on it, but
No.
I don't think there's anything illegal about that.
and with what Burke just said about the foundations, when that foundation that was further to the back had weeds like this high without any caution tape around it, so, maybe that's something that the building inspector can look at and.
I did, one of the conversations I had with Mr. Hamilton when I first went out there, back in late August, early September, was, vegetation was getting out of control, entering the subdivision where it was overlapping the sidewalk, and I asked him to trim that back.
And that's done.
And he did trim that
Actually,
back.
let me correct you, we did that. About 10 of us residents went out on a Sunday morning in October and cleaned everything
Yeah.
out. He didn't do a stitch of work
Well,
on that. so-
whoever did.
Yeah, we did it, so. And
it's
it wasn't
done.
wetlands like he claimed because it was completely dry. Maybe there is wetlands back
Well,
there,
like I-
but we
this- like I said,
cleaned it out.
tonight,
And we, as
10 or
residents.
15 feet of grass that I saw that looks good.
And it goes to your point of.
So maybe the foundations, open foundations, the first one that they're putting in, the last time that you were in front of us, I went by that day also, and that's when the excavator just got dropped off that morning, because they were putting plywood down on the road when I was there.
Yeah, in 3.5 months in
So-
Lot 1,
there's only been a foundation.
Right,
You
so
said it took
from this
40
amount of time,
Maybe I could talk to Dennis about, like you said, having an open foundation. I've noticed in other open subdivisions I've seen in other towns, they put a tarp at least over the foundation to make it secure.
well,
so-
if anything, yeah, I don't know.
More dangerous.
They'd want to put,
A fence around it is.
Fence around
what you
it,
need.
okay.
well, they have orange plastic
So maybe-
fencing
maybe I
just to
could
put
talk to
around
Dennis
it. And
about
I think
that.
that's something that we could, you know,
Building
building
department
department
could
can,
ask, not us.
right, the building department can ask.
And the other thing is, listen to what Burke said, you know, get together with your neighbors and hire a lawyer.
Just much like what was discussed last time, we just want it to be done.
Oh, I know.
Does the building department, Dan, have any control over that hill with the snowplow and the chunks of concrete in it? Do they have any discretion there?
No, the foundation, now construction has begun. As soon as the foundation or permits pulled, the building department can enter that piece of property at any time. It's all about safety, OSHA. Now it becomes the building department's issue. So if there's anything that the building department can do, maybe John can just check with him in the morning if he's in.
Yeah.
Now, I did ask if the board, with the board's consent, if you can send, John can send him a letter about the permanent sign and backing up the,
And the material in between the
Putting in-
sidewalk and the curb.
with-
Everything that needs to be done that we have control over to finish the subdivision.
so with that said, everybody's in agreement?
One nutty member of the board thinks that we should call it.
And as I said, I'll continue to monitor for the sake of the residents and have friendly conversations to try and move them on. 'cause-
We could say that there was a discussion,
Yep.
you could say that the board discussed calling the bond.
Okay.
Can there be a timeline put on that?
Stop.
Wait a minute,
Stop.
we have to fix the tape here, sir. Okay, you were saying?
Can a timeline be put on that, Dan? Because it sounds like you can make all these requests, please, between the sidewalk and the thing, please put, but unless there's any kind of timestamp,
The
on it,
only,
it could go
the
5
only,
years.
the only thing I could possibly see would be the sign as being a safety issue, and that's what the fire department,
Also, yeah, 911.
not having a sign, if there's a plywood or a temporary sign,
And the letters, it's very tough to read.
Yeah.
It's white stick-on letters on a aluminum colored
so
background.
what I suggest, in the letter that you're gonna write them, the sign is a safety issue.
Yep.
The backing of the curbing, between the curbing and the sidewalk is a request that the planning board is asking him to do before snow falls. And maybe you can, as part of that comment, maybe you can ask for an answer on how is he doing with cleaning up the large rocks and debris on the lots.
Yeah.
You've had a conversation with him, we've had a conversation with him, just follow up and
yeah,
enter it into a follow-up question.
I also stopped by there today on my way into the office, and it does look like some of the pile has been removed, maybe 30% of it.
It looked like he was dumping more in.
Oh, really? So it was.
I think it was just moved around, I'm not sure what's going on.
Well, he
with
did
it, but-
say that material is being reserved for fill around foundation, so.
That hill's been there for 2 years, there's
Yeah.
chunks of concrete
Yes.
from the house I.
So we're gonna do what we can do.
I appreciate
I
that.
do have, I didn't toss your
I appreciate your
original.
thoroughness. I mean, I know you only can do what's in the guidelines of your, job description, but, I mean, I hope you see it from,
Oh,
I
like I
mean-
said before, I do, it's just,
you know.
there's only so much we can do. All right?
Thank you for your time.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
very good.
Thank you, John.
Is FedEx in the room? No FedEx. Lincoln Woods. Form A, Nottingham Drive. Step up, state your name for the record.
Cameron Grobandu.
Could you come right up to the podium so we can hear,
As you see on the map, I own 2 lots on Nottingham Drive. The front one is where my house is. The back one is an empty lot, and it has been jaggedly penetrating into front lot. At this point, I just want to square off the front lot. It's not a building. I'm not asking for a buildable lot. I just want to separate 2 lots from each other.
All right, give us 1 minute to look at this.
Please do.
You are fronting on Nottingham Drive, and that's your frontage.
Correct.
Can we subdivide a Form A if there's not frontage on a
If
road?
it's not to be considered a buildable.
Yeah.
Lay not a buildable lot. When people do a one-lot subdivision, this is exactly what they do.
Is all the paperwork,
Exactly.
is it all
What
the
they do. I don't have a shot.
paperwork? Maureen, do you have a check?
I do have a check.
Okay, so you were saying you have, your house fronts Nottingham Drive, and you have 45,709 square feet, and existing lot line, is that dotted line, that's the existing lot line?
Correct.
And you are, can I ask a question? This line that is going behind your house, but it doesn't,
Existing lot line? Is that what-
no, I'm looking at the dotted line, I'm looking at this other line here.
It's the curved one.
Could you step over here for a minute? This line that's running this way? All
Yes, that's what we want to establish.
right, so it's going to stop here?
Yes.
So this is already 2 lots?
Yes, this already it is, but this one is jaggedly comes into that lot. I just want to square it up. I have sufficient frontage to designate some of that access to this back lot, but it is not a buildable lot.
So you're going to have, okay, I see it. I thought that was a swing line and not a lot line, but it's a radius lot line. I thought it was a tie line, but, okay, thank you. And it says, so the parcel in the back is parcel A with 66,366 square feet, not to be considered a buildable lot due to lack of frontage.
Okay. If he wanted to, though, he can use the left-hand part of the existing front lot to put a road into the back lot, is that true? At some future point?
Just under 40 feet.
Yes, if Edgewood Club goes under or the land behind that they develop, there may be some opportunity for it. I have no intention to do that at this point due to the fact that I have to get approval from conservation because there is a 2-season or 3-season brook back there. B, I have to go for variance. C, I have to develop that lot in 2 or 3 years. I have no intention to do it at this point. We enjoy the privacy. I just want to change the shape of 2 lots.
I don't
Well,
have a problem.
It's good for the town, we get to charge you for another lot, taxes.
My only question is, and I don't see the need for it, but do we require a wetland line on a Form A plan? Is it just
I
one of
think
those
there is
things
one
you
at-
have
Part of
to have?
submission requirements to show.
Isn't the one at the
show
bottom
area
of it?
I think he has it down here.
But look at the bottom of parcel A, there's something there.
Yeah, it shows the brook.
Yeah, it shows the brook.
Not sure if
I
there's a-
presume that the 52 and 51 are topo numbers.
Oh, you're right, those are topo.
Well, if that's the edge of the brook, that's 51, and it's from there, it's going to 52, so it's a foot higher.
Then back down again.
And then back down to 51.
So there's supposed to be wetland delineations on this.
I don't,
I don't, I'm just making
don't
the
think
point.
that-
I don't
yeah.
care, I can live with it if other people can.
Yeah, I don't see it as being a problem.
Okay.
It's not,
We can make it part of the motion at this point in time as a condition of subdivision not required, that this time we're not requiring any wetland delineation.
Well,
I wouldn't even say that.
If you look at note number 5, it
It says that right there.
says it very clearly anyway.
Okay. I'll make a
So-
motion that subdivision approval not required on the plan of land in Raynham, prepared for Cameron and Robin Flavoglu, dated November 1st, 2013, by Earth Services Corporation.
Any problems? We don't have a clerk.
So we all have to sign it.
Here you go.
That was seconded for discussion. All in favor? Aye. Yeah.
Aye.
So we need.
So here's a, you got the
Down there.
Mylar there?
Mylar right there.
Okay, and then 3 copies we need signed?
Yeah. How many copies do you have in there?
Put them all together so we're all signing them at one time.
Right beside the jail. The house, there's a business downstairs, dispensary.
To the right of the gap.
Wants to sell nursery products and
We're not conditioning anything.
No, but I know
Business
that.
one?
He mentioned as a-
But you want 50 feet, right?
I didn't think so.
There's a note on the plan.
He's here to
no.
do site plan.
No, that's a, parking's an issue.
It is what it is.
It's parking.
Either yea or nay.
We can make it
Either not or abbreviated.
abbreviated. But, you know, once you start selling businesses, on that particular lot, because I know the lot, I'm sure.
It is.
Parking's an issue. Because, that type of stuff.
Here you go, Henry.
Thank you, sir.
We have 1, 3 copies for. Yeah, we'll go. $1746 Broadway is gonna be next, so.
Thank you.
Whoever's 1746 Broadway. Steve? 1746. Okay.
Sir, you gonna be recording this? Yes, you have to record it.
Make sure you record it.
Can I do it tonight?
No, you won't do it tonight.
You have to go to the registry of deeds on Court Street. And when after you record it, just bring us back a receipt.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night.
Sorry.
Okay, FedEx sneak in anywhere? Nope. 1746 Broadway? Nope. Warren Street, Form A?
1746 Broadway didn't come?
Nope.
1746 Broadway,
Nope, I already asked 3 times.
3 times? Okay.
Warren Street West, Form A, state your name for the record.
Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering, representing the applicant.
And we have another.
What we have, Mr. Chairman, we have about a 10-acre parcel of land.
What you say, you were donating to the town?
No,
It sounded like that.
we were looking to cut out a parcel of land from the front corner of it to add to an existing house lot. So it's shown as a non-buildable lot by itself, and it will be added on to the land next door.
Okay.
Where does it say that?
Let's just get into it.
Notation that he added in on
On the lot itself.
the lot itself down right where you're looking. Right in that area, that's the location, not a buildable lot.
And then right under the general notes under your planning board block.
Yeah. And what's it say where he's going? Oh, divide
General
plot-
notes.
Plot 123 into 2 lots. What is plot 123?
Plot 123 is the entire lot as it sits today,
Excluding these houses?
excluding those 2 existing house lots.
Marsha's and Janus?
That's correct.
Okay.
So then 123 is being divided into A and B, with B being
A.
added to the house of 268.
The Nevins house.
Exactly.
And this is because they want more land or something?
Yeah, they,
This is not your land?
no, no.
Well, I mean, this is your land.
No, none of it is. I'm from the engineering company. Yes,
This is your client's land.
exactly. The client's daughter would never go out with me in high school, so. It could have been my land.
So what did she know that we know?
That's the question.
Tonight. Okay, so,
I hope she's not listening.
this is farm.
She's right there.
This is farm and forest.
Yes, sir.
So, we're still maintaining, you got 8 acres, 8.8 acres. If we are making basically a non-conforming lot, bigger non-conforming, basically.
Lot A still meet all the requirements of a buildable lot in a farm and forest district.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
That's the only thing we care about.
And that's 5 acres, right?
5 acres
And this,
whatever
and this
the-
says it's 8.8 acres, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And the frontage is,
Well, that's what that's what I said. So basically, those other 2 lots are basically non-conforming in farm and forest.
oh yeah, but I
So
assume
we're-
grandfathered.
We're actually making one lot more than 4.
So where's the frontage for Lot A?
The frontage for Lot A is right in front of house number 238. So Lot A has 2 pieces of frontage, essentially. Originally had one big chunk of
Oh,
frontage
I
on
see.
Warren Street.
And who lives in 238?
The applicant.
Right.
The RMB
Well-
Trust?
It's owned by the trust, exactly.
Okay. So we have these 2 things plus the 56 feet at the end.
Right.
Is that enough frontage for farm and forest?
Yeah, because they have, it's over
They've
here.
got all they need.
Yeah,
Yeah. They
Well,
have
what's the
206 plus.
208.
Right.
What's the frontage requirement?
200.
200? So just these 2 lots here in front of 238
Yeah,
suffice. Is there a wetland determination over to the left, correct?
yep.
Not that it matters at this point, but when 258 and 268 were built, Warren Street West was not farm and forest,
No, that changed.
changed.
I think it changes sometime in the 80s, I believe.
Yeah, I'm all set.
Paperwork's all in order?
I don't see a check.
I have the check.
She's holding on to all those
She doesn't
checks.
trust you.
She's holding on to those checks tonight.
Every time we send checks down your way, they don't come
They never
back.
come back?
Yeah.
I make a motion that we accept the plan entitled Plan of Land in Raynham, Bristol County, Massachusetts, Warren Street West, prepared for RMB Trust, 258 Warren Street West, Raynham, Massachusetts, prepared by J.K. Holgram Engineering, Inc., dated September 1, 2013, as a plan not requiring subdivision approval.
Second for discussion. This really would make a nice park for that side of the town. Sure they're not, don't want to voluntarily. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay, why don't you put those down, that way you can send them out.
You want the Mylar pen?
$17.46 Broadway, anybody sneak in? Nope, FedEx, nope. Coming up next is going to be Performance Plus, so if you'd like to get in line at the podium.
George Training Center on Richmond Street.
Oh. Did they ever
Their
build it?
temporary expires soon, it's not up yet, but soon.
Did they respect them?
They have a temp right now.
90-day temp.
The time is up soon, but not now.
It would come to see how they would operate.
But I haven't opened it up yet, so let's keep it.
Is this their attempt that they're coming back to the planning board for the noise levels, correct? Is that what we're here for?
I think it's going to just set things up for that.
Set up a hearing for it?
We haven't notified the neighbors.
Oh, okay. Maybe so it's notified. Okay, do you remember that? That was my company. Check it out after it's built in that building. So it's built in that building?
You know, if it wasn't, I just want
I didn't
your
know if it was a
person you're working for, if it wasn't for you, you know, this would be a lot harder, so maybe you might get some points out of that. It may be too late if it was all the way back in school when she said no.
30 years ago, I got a view.
She's probably, I bet you she's moved on by now.
Nah, I just wonder whether we can have a camera pointed at it.
I'm embarrassed to be forced.
You did a nice job tonight.
I think this might be your last job. There goes with that.
When you record this, bring it back to the
Well, it's time we had 13 things on the agenda.
No, last extraordinary one.
All set, very good, thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks for coming in. Okay. Performance Plus Site Plan, Occupancy Permit. State your name for the record.
Yes, thank you. Attorney William Rouse, my office at 115 Broadway in Taunton. Here on behalf of Performance Plus, and Nancy Cooper, the owner-operator, is also here. I think the board will recall when we were approved on our site plan, one of the conditions was that we would come back. We'd only get a temporary occupancy permit and have you review us after approximately 90 days to see if there are any issues that have arisen with the various things that were discussed at the public hearing. We think we're doing fine, but we'd like to hear from you and I guess any other town agents. I know you've had some people out there taking a look.
John, our town planner, went out with Board of Health. They both agreed that everything looked fine?
Yep.
Everything smelled fine?
Neither Dave Flaherty, Board of Health Director, nor myself have received any complaints, any comments in the meantime, and they have some noise insulating material around the chain link fence, and the odors are fine, and the noise was fine, so no issues.
I think we set up this, if I recall, because we had a lot of neighbors and a lot of hearings on this particular case, was to get input from the neighbors as to whether they were affected by the noise. So I would suggest...
There was no complaints, though.
Yeah, but I would suggest the purpose was to make sure that, you know, the neighbors were satisfied, not so much the town officials. I think it would be best to just send out a letter and set up just a hearing to see if there is anything from the neighbors that
Just let them make a telephone call.
When is the,
I think-
when is the temporary up?
I don't recall the date.
I believe it's the date of your next meetings. I think you could just
That
squeeze it
sounds
in.
At this point, they were in every meeting. they do watch our meetings, and I know that for a fact, so, hello.
And from what I understand, one of the concerned abutters, talking to the staff there, does walk his dog down that road past the establishment. So I'm sure
Well,
if there was something.
I would be happy if you could make a couple calls to the neighbors that attended the hearings. I'm sure we have some of their names in our minutes, just to see if they, have anything. If so, we can put it on the agenda for the 5th.
Or I'd suggest that maybe we can vote on allowing a permanent occupancy permit, providing there is no issues with, so we're not waiting another 2 weeks, and the applicant's not spending more money for legal fees to come back in front of us. I would rather, if we do that, I've been down there 3 times myself. Every time I take my kid for coffee, he says, "What are we driving down here again for?" My nephew...
Yeah, but you're not there
My
3 or
nephew
4
went
o'clock in the morning.
My nephew went through dog training class and said everything was unbelievably professional, clean, all the dogs that were in the class.
Again, the only issue was noise.
Noise and smell. Smell was a big issue.
Okay.
I saw-
But you people have been there, and you can
Yeah.
assure me that, smell is not an issue.
Well, and that's
But you
fine. I don't have a
can't
problem
assure
with...
me that at 3 or 4 o'clock, some neighbors aren't being
And
bothered.
if there was, I'm sure that they would have called and filed complaints. So, yes, Burke.
Are dogs being kept overnight? I can't remember.
Yes,
How
but
many?
not all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, we-
Frequent, but
I
not.
think,
Yeah, it
wasn't it
was-
like maybe up to 15
That's the
at full max?
And we're not
Yeah.
at all near that.
Are they let outside at night?
No,
So, if we do that, and we can make a phone call, and then it's,
Just a couple phone calls to a couple of neighbors that were here.
yes.
When would you expect your busiest time of year for boarding? When people go to Florida in January and February, or
around the holidays.
around the holidays? People travel,
At that.
and that's when they...
I'm not a public kennel. It's
Oh,
for people
they
that-
have to be involved with training, or you won't take them in anyway? Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I forgot.
So can I say something?
Yes, state your name for the record.
Nancy Drogas, owner of Performance Plus and an Activity Center.
Mm-hmm.
I really need the occupancy permit for my bank. So I think it's unfair to make me wait longer when I have proven myself and jumped through every hoop you've presented to me. And your own official was there and inspected my property unannounced, didn't know he was coming. If I were doing some, and if the neighbors felt that I was a problem, they would be here. So to make me wait further, I really think is an insult to me. And I'm quite upset about it. I would like my permanent occupancy permit, please.
Thank you.
We don't put people to jump through hoops, that's not what we do. Perhaps that's what you do, training, but we don't. Part of our approval was contingent on, no opposition, or just a review for the neighbors. If we can issue it tonight, subject to, and hold it until John makes a couple phone calls tomorrow, that's fine. But I'm not satisfied unless someone wants to go there at 3 o'clock tonight and tomorrow night just to check out what it's like.
If you have dogs overnight, you don't have people there overnight.
And that's why I was asking about the dogs.
The dogs are not ever there unattended.
Oh, okay.
This is going to, again, this is a long-term business. If there are issues, we do have in place bylaws, noise bylaws. There are several things that are in place, Board of Health, that with any business in town, not just this business. So we did issue the temporary occupancy permit. We did say we needed the 6 months. It's up next month. I think if we vote on it tonight, subject to, and John, I would ask that first thing in the morning, you know who the few people are, you make 2 calls, and it should be issued tomorrow. I don't see a problem.
I don't see a problem with that.
So if that's,
I'll
if that's,
second that motion.
if that's agreed, all in favor for doing exactly what I just said?
Aye.
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 Maureen will straighten that out.
All right, so please, tomorrow morning, you're coming in tomorrow's Friday, make those phone calls so
That sounds quite
we can get moved on and, okay? Very good, thank you, and good luck with your business.
Thank you.
Yes, certificate of action.
Let's see, no new faces. Dave Mello, site plan, 546 South Street East, Life Care Center. Yes, state your name for the record.
I'm David Mel, I'm the plant manager of the Life Care Center right now.
Okay, and what can we do for you?
About a year and a half ago, we built a walking track. I had the conservation guy come down, check it out. It's not being used, okay, and we have a major parking issue when the PP students start coming in to do their training. I'm asking, there is an existing parking lot there, I'm just asking to add about 15 to 20 parking spaces there, so we don't have people parking on grass, fire lanes, parking the generator, dumpsters, when we have, like tonight, the BP students are there, and I just left the facility, and they're on the track right now, parked on the track, they're parked. And there's one resident out there that walks, and he doesn't even walk around the track, he walks.
So is this track something that was part of your original approval?
Yeah, I came down, talked to Dennis, who was the building inspector. He said all I had to do was get approval from the conservation guy, because there's wetlands back there. He came down, told me straightforward, as long as I put a barrier of hay barrier there, and everything would be fine. So when I was done, he came down, checked it out, he said, yeah, everything's good. If anybody asked you, I approved it as long as the hay bales were there. So I came because, like I said, we're having issues with parking there. And
So now you're looking to scoop out that dirt and put pavement in?
there's already pavement there, it's a pavement track.
Oh.
What we're gonna do is we're just gonna cover the track is what we're gonna do.
When you say track, what do you mean?
It's a walking track. It's a circular walking track, and for residents.
The residents walk?
No, they don't, we thought it was gonna be a big hit, and it ended up becoming not a big hit. There's one resident that walks around the building, and he doesn't even use the track. He says the way he looks at it is, it takes him 20 times to walk around a track to 2 times around the building, so he'd rather walk around the building, so.
The only thing that I could see is, you are gonna have to have some type of a parking lot plan just drawn.
Sure.
And I would also suggest that that plan goes to conservation, because if you had to go to conservation to get the track built, I would also submit to conservation, let them know that you're gonna.
Sure, I have the
what-
guys.
What you're doing, yes.
The person from conservation, he met with you informally on site.
Yep.
But he said you'll have to file with us?
No, when I came down, I spoke to Dennis, the building inspector, because I'm familiar with him, because he comes in and does our inspections every year. And he asked me, he said, I think you're gonna have to come in front of the planning board to tell them what you want to do, because it was over a certain footage that I was wanting to add. There is an existing parking lot there, all I'm gonna do is just tie into that parking lot and add on a little bit.
So, now, thinking ahead, the fee schedule that we were changing, that was gonna be second, is gonna affect what he's doing, because if not, he'd be paying on a filing fee for the square footage of the building and not,
Or is this just a minor modification?
That's the other possibility, is the board could approve it as a minor modification.
but what are the fees for minor modifications? It's almost,
Why can't we just do an abbreviated site plan review under our new fees?
it's not, no, it's gonna have to be, you're gonna have to vote on, it's either gonna be a minor modification. I don't think you're gonna be able to go through with abbreviated site plan, because
Is
they're
there
gonna have to file.
a fee for a minor modification? No. Okay, so why don't you just?
There's no
do
fee
it-
for minor modification for filing? We don't charge one, so then that would be the best thing to do. Okay, so,
But we need a plan.
we need we need some.
A parking layout
You must have an engineered plan from when the building was was,
And don't
Yep,
spend
I
a lot
have-
of money on it, just have
Yeah.
them use the old plan and add this
Yeah,
on to it.
what I do is, what I have is I have a site plan of the building
Yeah.
with the parking. We
Existing
added a
parking,
parking
right.
lot about 4 years into the building's existence, and now what we're doing is we're
okay,
just
so
adding.
just draw off of that plan.
Sure.
Submit that as a minor modification. You can see John,
Did you just say he already has this plan done?
it's from 4 years ago.
No, it's from 4 years.
He's gonna add to
The
it.
buildings was opened in 1994.
Yeah.
In 98, they added parking, an employee parking lot. All I'm doing is extending that employee parking lot.
Oh, okay, so you still need a plan.
Yeah. So, just use that plan,
Yep.
draw on it with some measurements.
Sure.
Give it to conservation, see John, John will help you.
How far are, and this isn't our problem, but I'm just wondering if you're gonna do a plan for conservation and a plan for us.
Well, I got the conservation guy's card, I'll just give him a call tomorrow.
How close to the wetlands are you?
Right now, with the track, we're probably about 100 feet away from the wetlands. So that's what it's gonna be when we're done with the parking. The parking lots, all we're doing is squaring off the track is all we're doing.
So you should definitely talk to him.
Sure.
Do the plan that we need, and I think 100 feet's the magic. If you're at 99 feet, you got to do a lot of things you don't have to do if you're 101 feet.
Okay.
So you might have to do a plan for him, or you might not. But again, let's try to do one plan, not two.
Probably the same plan you can, I think, use for us and
If you stay, I think it's the 100-foot buffer. If you stay outside of that, then the Conservation Commission basically doesn't have jurisdiction.
Right.
Okay.
All right?
Can we take turns? 'Cause you've been here all night.
Yeah.
This is a seal.
So, you can see John either tomorrow, we're only open half day, or Monday, you can come see him, and John will, if you have that plan, you can bring it in, and John will steer you in the right direction.
If you have it done,
I'll do it first thing tomorrow morning.
okay with you. Okay.
And I'll be here, what time do you guys close?
Noon.
All right, I'll be here around 10 o'clock. I start at 7 in the morning.
Okay.
All right, very good.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a good night. Okay, next, Berry Hill.
Oh, no problem. It's lot 10.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do we
I
possibly,
have two things. I have one thing for, that was just a note from the building department, though.
do we possibly take Turner for his certificate of?
Yep, that's what it was. I thought that's what he was here for, which is this one.
I'll do them both.
Yeah, we'll discuss both of them. Let's do, you're on for a certificate of action for Lot 10 Forge River Park. Step up, state name for the record.
George Turner, 2T's Realty Trust.
And you are, John, you went over this?
Yeah, I drafted up a
Drafted
decision. Burke, sent it to Burke. He came back with no comments, then I sent it off to the chairperson, Dan, who also said it looked fine, so it's been through a couple of reviews.
And we've already voted on it, right?
Yep.
Yes, the public hearing is
I think we
closed.
just had to sign it.
So we just have to sign it. Chris is not here, so now we don't all have to sign it, do we? Or do we?
You see the letter, you can just cross out his name and write your name as chairman. And where is Berry Hill on the agenda? I don't see it there.
It's right in line with this one.
What am I missing? I don't see anything.
It's up for discussion. It's in the comments.
All right, I got it down.
Okay, how many we have? We have one, two, how many did you make here?
We only need one final one.
How many would you like?
Couple would be great.
So you want him, you're gonna file with town clerk, and then he can pick one up at your office?
Yep, I'll mail it.
Or she can mail it?
Either way. Give me a call. Except Thursday.
Right.
So they're all signed, so, pass those down. We had a lot line discussion for Berry Hill. And Building Department had sent in a letter stating that the committee, since Berry Hill Realty Trust is no longer involved with the project, it can be implied that the committee now refers to the Berry Hill Estate Homeowners Association.
Who's the committee?
That is something that is,
I'm actually the successor to the original Berry Hill, so Realty Trust. So, I mean, we act as the same as they would, but in any case, I'm also the trustee of the Berry Hill Homeowners Association.
So when you refer to committees out?
So if you refer to anything with Berry Hill, that's myself and my brother, so.
so that's something that, and it's listed in your homeowners association about the permitting?
Yeah, but that, actually, I sent the letter to John that really describes that whole scenario. I don't know if you got a copy of it.
I believe this is it right here.
Okay, but the homeowners association really has nothing to do with anything that we build until it's completed, as far as approvals and whatnot, because we are the successor to the original developer.
Okay, so Dennis did this letter November 4th. Is Dennis all set? Has there been any other discussion?
No, I'm still waiting for him to issue the permit on that lot. He's issued the other permits, and I'm still
Okay,
waiting for him to
so-
issue the permit on that.
I think this here, that was the letter that he's,
This is the letter that I prepared.
Okay.
To Dennis, and then, and also Mr. Turner got a copy.
okay.
He replied in a letter to Dennis and gave myself a copy, because really Dennis had a concern with the house being close to the lot line and potentially liability to the town in the future.
Right, but it's all spelled out
Correct.
in there, so hopefully Dennis his questions are resolved, seeing that was,
Right.
you know,
And there is an
November 4th.
easement on that lot for the benefit of both lot owners, so that there isn't a restriction for them to be able to work on their house, which is what the point he brought up to.
Okay.
And as you know, the whole thing basically is a condo that you own your own lot. It's kind of a
Exactly.
unique situation.
And I think that's why when we originally did the setbacks, we did it by buildings and not by lot lines.
Right, so the zoning is 30 feet between houses.
Right.
And he meets that.
Right,
And I
so-
think that.
I just wonder, why does this house need to be in this location? Why couldn't it be pushed back a few feet?
Because of the size of the house. We actually put it just about wherever we could. No matter where you slide it, it's still,
You moved it over this way?
I can't because I have to be 30 feet.
Oh, okay.
And that's why
It's already
it's-
pushed over.
yeah.
Okay, I understand.
And with only 50-foot frontage.
And that is the narrowest house that
Yep.
we can,
Yep.
so, I mean.
So I guess
If I did the
plan-
other house, just a way of explanation, their walk-ins up on here, we didn't want to do that. So we put another type of style house.
Yeah.
So that style house works there.
So Dennis has our blessing, so there
Okay.
shouldn't be any reason for him to come back from the planning board for that issue.
Okay.
So, with that said,
Okay.
all set?
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you, too.
Okay. Farm A, another Farm A, Pleasant Street. Farm A for Pleasant Street. Wow, feel like this is Christmas, huh? All these Farm A's tonight. Haven't seen this, like you said, haven't seen this many Farm A's and, Okay, state your name for the record.
Marcel Massey, BOJ Construction.
With all this paper rattling, I'm not sure, I didn't hear you, I'm not sure if the camera guy did.
Excuse me, can we have your name and address, please?
Yeah, Marcel Massey, BOJ Construction, and I'm
Your address?
1128 Pleasant Street.
Very good, thank you. And you want to give us a, while we're reviewing this, give us a quick
Explanation?
explanation. We're, first, this front's on Pleasant Street,
Yeah.
and you are directly across Bayberry Road and Paddock Road. Okay,
The explanation, it's a very simple, just a lot line adjustment, taking 8,659 square feet from lot 196B and giving it to lot 196, and taking 8,659 square feet from lot 196 and giving it to 196B. And the purpose is to put a barn back on the old foundation, or near the old foundation. It's going to be a new foundation.
so we see the dotted line, parcel A, land's transferred to lot 196B, 8,659. Okay, so that's the piece that's going over to,
Is that the top piece? Yeah, I'm just having trouble reading this. The top part here?
no, it's right here. This piece right here?
Oh, the exact same square footage.
Exact same square footage.
Okay, and that's going from, where's that parcel going from?
It's taking parcel land transfer, parcel B.
96B, where's 196B?
So now this guy's driving.
196B is the big lot in the back.
So are you combining parcel A and B?
No,
Just a portion.
just taking a portion from 196 and giving it to 196B, and then taking a portion from 196B and giving it to 196. Basically,
Where's lot 196B?
you want me to come over and show you real quick?
Thank you. This is lot 196.
Okay, 196B starts here, and it goes like this.
Oh, so whole rest of it.
Yeah, all the way over here.
It says right on the top, right up,
Gotcha.
right there, 196B.
Okay,
But
thank you.
this is,
So he's taking that,
look
So
at how the
taking
curve
this
is
piece of
here.
land-
The curve there's the
And putting it with this.
And giving it to this, and
Taking
taking this piece of land and giving it to this.
So I guess that's not the property line.
A lot of things happening here.
New State Highway.
If you run towards that,
1961 layout.
Two-story wood frame house. There's a house way back there?
Yes.
Wow.
Things you never knew.
Now, are all the signatures we're dealing with, are these all the same family, multiple families? Do we have multiple signatures on the?
John Hammett owns both lots. And then you see the signature from his mother. She has a living trust on the front lot.
196B?
196. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So who lives in the house here? The one-story wood frame house?
That's John's house
Time?
in the back. John Hammett.
So we have,
Okay, who lives all the way back in the house, the
The
two-story?
one in the back is John Hammett.
Okay, who's in the front?
In the front, it's Virginia Gonzalez, his mother,
Okay.
Hammett.
And she
Virginia
signed that,
Gonzalez.
right?
well, I have signatures of John,
Hammond.
Jennifer, and Virginia here.
Yeah, Jenny. I mean, Jenny.
Yeah, that's
her name.
the big parcel. That's the 196B.
B.
It's Jenny Gonzalez.
So the
So-
living trust is John P. Hammond
Yeah.
on 196.
And he signed too?
Well, I guess I have two signatures.
Yeah, you
They
should.
write worse than I do, so,
You have,
You should have John and Jennifer and then Gonzalez? Or Virginia somebody?
that's John,
and that's a Virginia.
and that's Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Yeah.
Okay, so where's Virginia?
Virginia, Jenny.
Oh, that's
is-
her,
yeah.
that's her signature?
Yes. Ginny is her name.
Not Jenny, G.
Okay, so she prints, she doesn't
Did she
use
write it?
cursive. Well, it looks like a printed, that's why I thought it was the name next to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're telling me all three people have signed on this?
As far as I
That's your-
know,
that's
did Jennifer not sign? Is her?
I don't know, I'm trying
Let me
to,
see.
you tell me. I was thinking that that person printed and signed, and that person printed and signed.
Yes, so I don't see the third person.
So we don't have Jennifer.
We don't have Jennifer,
Okay.
which I can get that.
We have to make any approval subject to that,
Yeah.
because it states that she's a landowner,
Yep.
or 196B. Other than that, is it
So,
okay?
yeah, other than that, I see how the notes have
So the real
corresponded with-
purpose of this is to get the driveway onto the right part?
No, the real purpose is to get the barn built.
Just right now, this is here, so they're taking this,
On the old standard foundation?
yeah, well, right now, this goes here
Yep.
and here, so they're
Right.
taking this out,
Yep.
giving it to this, and they're taking this piece, giving it to this,
Right.
so the square footage matches. So
Right.
they just swap them.
And then they're
And-
gonna build a
and then
barn here.
Yeah, somewhere in
for
this
house.
area, yeah. That way you can access the top of the barn from up here. This is on the hill.
So basically,
Oh,
all the
okay.
frontage stays the same, nothing's changing along the front.
Is the wetland delineation sufficient? Because if you look at the notes, it just says, there's no wetland encroachment with proposed structure, whatever that means.
Well, we've already let one go tonight that didn't have any, so.
Well, it's,
And this
they have
really-
wooded edge of woods.
They
I know,
just-
but it doesn't say wetland edge, it says wooded edge.
Yeah.
No, I'm just bringing it up for
Yeah.
discussion.
Well, there's already a drive, where they're going through, there's already a driveway, an existing driveway, existing house.
Mhm.
And
So I think that's fine.
Just mention that to your surveyor in the future.
Yes.
Tell him to read our rules and regs.
So,
I make a motion that we accept the plan entitled Plan of Land Lot Line Adjustment owned by John P. Hammett and John P. Hammett and Jennifer Hammett, Bristol County, 1128 Pleasant Street, Raynham, Massachusetts, Assessors Map Number 9, Lot 196 and 196B, prepared by Topper Land Survey, Inc., as a plan not requiring subdivision approval, subject to Jennifer Hammett signing the application before the plan is released.
So did Virginia Gonzalez, is she an owner?
living estate, John
She has a
Hammond's
life
sign.
estate, and
Okay.
she did sign the Form A.
Motion was made.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
So we'll be holding on to that.
And hold it.
Until he gets that signature.
What I would suggest we do is make a copy, what's that? Yeah, we'll sign it and we can hold it.
Yeah, we can do that a lot.
Make a copy of this here so he can take back the original, and then he'll bring her signature. And if he doesn't bring
Or you
his,
can just make a copy of the signature page for him to get signed.
that's fine too.
So it's a one page, so.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
fine.
Okay.
If he, and if he doesn't bring back signature, burn him. Not you, the plans. I jumped the gun on those there. 1746 Broadway come in yet? FedEx?
Trying hard to get those.
Well, we're, last but least, coming up. Walmart, Route 138, traffic mitigation. You're gonna be next, so.
George Trevor.
Mhm. Who's the other one?
Robert.
No, it's George. Well, I think the AC's on.
Yep. Oop, already signed those.
I don't know why I'm not trying to sound like that.
I don't want that.
No.
You already signed that one?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Henry.
Thank you.
Yeah, right here.
So you're all set, plans are all signed, we're gonna hold them downstairs in the office and bring that back.
Have her sign in blue so we'll know it's an original signature.
And then we will have, you'll be able to take the Mylar and have it recorded.
And then bring us back a receipt.
And then we're gonna need the receipt back as soon as it's recorded.
Downstairs?
Downstairs to Maureen.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Walmart, Route 138, step right up. Is everybody here from Walmart? Everybody. Oh, boy. You saved best for last. State your name for the record.
Sure, it's Gary McNaughton with McMahon Associates, the traffic engineers for the project. I also have representatives from the general contractor, the site engineer, and Walmart with us to answer questions. Mostly wanted to come in, provide you with an update. If you've been by the site, you've seen work has been...
Do we have your address?
Oh, sure. McMahon Associates, local address is 300 Mile Standish Boulevard in Taunton.
Thank you.
If you've been by the site, you've seen the roadway work, sewer work, et cetera, continuing on through the summer, continuing up. Right now, as they're setting curb and continuing through those roadway improvements, installing some of the signal equipment, conduit, et cetera. And we wanted to come in and kind of fill you in as to where we're getting to this year, and the intent to have the roadway widening done before the winter. You know, we're getting into those winter months, but still continuing with the work. We've been coordinating with DOT on that, so the intent is to have the final curb line set, all those curbs relocated throughout the limits of project, have signal equipment in. The roadway work will be done hopefully over the next few weeks before the weather turns, and get that work that's a little more weather dependent done, get signal foundations in, et cetera. But the signal equipment will be going in over the winter. That's not as weather dependent, with the goal of having the signals up and operational sometime in February, targeting a March opening. And again, the roadway work the final curb line will be in place, but we've been talking with DOT about paving for that final top course of paving. They'd actually prefer we wait until the spring so we're not dealing with potential weather issues and they get a better riding surface at the end of the project.
Okay, so what generated them coming in tonight was they met with John.
I got a phone call from the contractor on site, foreman.
And his question was he was going to be looking for a temporary occupancy permit sometime in March. And the letter...
When did you say the lights were going in?
March, temporary, well, we'll get to that part. But he was looking for a temporary occupancy permit for opening in March.
When we talk about traffic lights, with all of them that you're putting in are going to be working?
The ones that we're putting in right now are at the site drive, at the entrance to Walmart, and then at King Philip Street.
Okay.
Those are the systems that are going in, and some minor adjustments to the one at Market Basket. There's additional work at Center Street that is still undergoing a slow review by Mass DOT. That
Are lights
hopefully,
going there?
eventually, lights are installed at Center Street.
Is that part of your,
Those will not be done prior to March. We're still working through the DOT review process.
is that part of your COS?
There are conditions on the approval that it does not require the lights to be installed at Center Street. There's, the lights were an alternative, but if and they were really triggered to a Phase 2 opening, which really isn't happening anymore. But there's provisions that if the lights aren't installed, there's different lane temporary striping configurations that could be done, or if necessary, even a police detail during peak times at Center Street to alleviate mostly existing operations out there.
Until the lights go in.
Until the lights go in. The lights are proceeding through. We're just,
All right,
And there's a light in Taunton.
I believe Taunton wound up having light timing, and Taunton got mitigation. Taunton didn't want.
Oh, no, I'm not, well, not a new light.
No.
there was provision for a light that Taunton ultimately did not want
They
installed.
didn't want, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just out of curiosity, where was that?
On the, kind of the triangle of the East Britannia Street, there's two very closely spaced intersections. On the west side of 138, those two roadways come in and meet
Washington
at a
Street and
point.
Britannia.
Yeah, so it's just on that west side. It was fairly close to the intersection, but they're content that.
Now, the other part of the original agreement was we were holding Walmart for $495. We were holding them responsible for the completion of it, and the state did complete it, so obviously, so that was another set of lights. My only concern, I saw in email, or I guess I don't know if it was the contractor or who, said that there's no intentions on doing Center Street lights, and they didn't even, it's not part of their contract, they didn't even know about it, or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
that's what was expressed to me, but.
so where does that fall? Because I do believe that we have $800,000.
Correct.
And since then, there's been a few things coming up about Center Street, because out of all of the time we spent on Walmart, I personally have had to spend an awful lot of time on Center Street. Meeting with the two property owners, meeting with you, meeting with Marilyn. Marilyn had spent I have numerous emails, back and forth for you. We constantly was asking for updates. It dragged on for 6, 7, 8 months. We went to the town. It was on the town warrant for land taking early on, which we withdrew because we could not get any comments. We couldn't get information on Center Street. Center Street, early on, when it was being shown that it was taking and literally blocking off the entrance of Madison's garage. So then that's when we got involved and we started talking about it, and we said, hey, let's go back to the state to see if they can, what's the minimum that they'll let go?
Right.
So I think we've already gone through all that. That's, I've gone through with both of the landowners. They're satisfied with everything. So I just get a little unsettled when I see that the contractor doesn't even know anything about Center Street. Money is easy to put up. And the problem, after researching, at the time when we did the $800,000, Walmart could have a lot of money, and they could actually never put those lights on. If they want that money to sit there. Seems kind of stupid that they would, but it's not, the way it's worded, I guess, basically, the lights really don't have to go in, and that's what the money's for. So, looking at that, we have to restructure not the bond estimate, the wording of the bond for Center Street lights. Because all the other lights, any road improvements that you're doing besides top coating have to be done. So if the state doesn't want you to top coat, and I guess I'll put it out to the rest of the members of the board, but top coating to me is really not a safety issue if the state doesn't want it done until spring.
Oh, and I agree with that.
So, I don't see a problem with that, but having sidewalks ripped apart and curbing not put in and lights not working, absolutely not. And we have to redo the explanation or the description of the Center Street $800,000. And it has to be signed off by Walmart attorneys, lawyer, whoever. And I think I would turn that over to the two attorneys to review and discuss how we can convert our original decision into more of a permanent, with a deadline of putting, there has to be a time limit when those lights on Center Street. We've been doing this for how many years?
So we're going to definitely put lights at Center Street.
They are going in, whether they do it or we use their $800,000 to do it.
Yeah, but the 800,000 may not be enough to do the lights.
Well, yes.
Sure. The lights are going in on Center Street. They're not in the contract right now until we have the final DOT approval. That's why they're not out there for this contractor to start the work. But we are proceeding through that DOT. Everything is into DOT. We're waiting on a final review from the district traffic group. Hopefully that comes any day now. It's been in there for quite some time. And then that will allow us to proceed and obtain the permit for that work, at which point it will be turned over quickly to the contractor, continuing to coordinate with the town to make sure that this is all moving forward as we desire.
With that said, it might even be something that we tie the permit with the state as part of the temporary occupancy permit.
Was the G. Lopes light, is that all part of this too?
Yeah. Well, they don't have the contract with Center Street. They're doing all of the site work for everything else. They didn't, apparently I don't know, who's here from Lopes? Nobody's here from Lopes?
The general contractor's here, Carl.
So the general contractor apparently didn't know about Center Street lights because it wasn't in the contract, so that's, I guess, when I saw that in the email, I just freaked out because I said, you're gonna be kidding me. With all the time I've spent on lights for Center Street, nobody knows about it, that's,
There's nothing negative that we're trying to.
Yeah, no, and before you say anything, I just have to get your name for the record. So, you've already spoken, so who are you?
Rob Carlson, Carlson Brothers.
Address?
210 Hampshire Court.
And you're with who? Carlson Brothers? And you're doing the road construction work?
Yes, we're the general contractor for the whole project.
Okay.
Including the building?
Okay, so that's, when I saw that, it just, kind of caught me by surprise that we've been doing this for this many years and nobody knows about Center Street.
I'm a little bit concerned about G. Lopes. G. Lopes, do they have a separate set of lights, or are they coming through Walmart, or it's on a separate road, or what was the end result?
There's one set of lights
at the Walmart driveway.
Yeah,
There
and
are
G. Lopes uses that too?
cross-connection agreements
Yeah.
internal to the site, but there is not a separate set of lights at Lopes. We spent quite a bit of time working with DOT on that, and because of the Walmart signal and the Market Basket signal, there was just not enough room to put another light.
Did we have discussions at some point for a separate G. Lopes light, or?
We had extensive discussions, I know in particular
the state
with
said-
Lopes, and they had their own traffic consultant, and we met with DOT quite a bit to figure out the best way to accommodate their access. A lot of their operations are earlier in the day than, Walmart and those afternoon operations, but there are provisions for access from Lopes onto the Walmart driveway. to get
So
access
they're
to that
going to
signal.
enter and exit on your set of lights?
They can. Their driveway will still be there. They'll still have that access out to their driveway, but like I said, there's access agreements
I
further
think
back
what
into
the
the site.
determination was the timing between Market Basket and the timing between Walmart was sufficient for in and out.
For the trucks?
For the trucks in the middle, because it's
Because,
basically.
they run a lot of trucks, because I do.
Yeah, and they have to.
There was also an extra lane added, as I remember.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be a 4-lane section, from south of the Walmart site, similar to what you have in front of Market Basket. That will extend south of the Walmart site and all the way up past King Philip.
So you have 2-lane exit, 2-lane entrance?
Their driveway's pretty wide. They probably could have 2 trucks side by side. But we don't have 2 lanes entering. It would be the single lane entering into their site.
Right,
Well, I meant lane on the
On
one-line
138,
driveway,
yes.
not on 138.
Yeah.
Oh, they redid their driveway. We're not making any additional changes to it. They redid it in the interim from, you know, from
The original
long time that we were
approval.
here.
Yeah.
Right, so they've redone it, so they have, you know, done that with permits from DOT, and it is wide, so that it does accommodate 2 trucks. You really can't have 2 trucks turning in there at the same time, but you could have, you know, one truck's waiting for a gap to turn left, you could have another truck turning out going right.
And what is your entrance? Is that a 2-lane
It's,
to Walmart?
it's more, yeah, it's more of a boulevard, so, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 2 lanes coming in.
Mhm.
And then there's actually 3 lanes coming out. There was a few changes.
Yeah, that's what I thought there was a
That we
lane
had
in.
made, so in reality, while it widens out and it's striped as 2 lanes, you're really only ever going to have a single car turning in there at the same time. We don't have a double left turn lane or anything coming into the site. But we did make modifications through the design where coming out was originally just 2 lanes. It's now 3 lanes. That gives it some additional
So it's
capacity.
straight, left, right?
Well, there's 2 little
Two
straight,
rights?
you
Yeah,
could go straight
straight.
across into Eman Brothers, but there's not a high demand
So what do you
expectation
have,
of that.
2
But it would
rights?
be 2 lefts.
2 lefts and a right?
That center lane would also allow you to go through if that was your destination, and then a separate right turn lane. One of the other
Now,
important...
excuse me, as a practical matter, where are Lopes trucks going to be going in and out of? Are they going to be using your exit or not?
So Lopes are back here. The expectation is that most of the time they're going to use that, that's fine.
And the timing between the 2 lights?
As they change over, they'll
let them
create
go
gaps
in?
in traffic. One of the other things is everything that we had done and everything that's being built was based on a 210,000 square foot store, as that was the Walmart model at the time that we were in here permitting this project. The actual store is only about 150,000 square feet, so
And is this a super Walmart?
that's pretty much all of their newer stores have that grocery component.
And they're at a 150 now, not...
Not the 210, which is what the permits are in place for, is the 210,000 square foot store, but the 150 is what's being built, and that's...
Does that affect your parking at all, or?
John can address that.
No, we're...
Could you state your name?
I apologize. John Cusick with Boulder Engineering, offices in Southborough.
Thank you.
No, the parking's covered. We actually had come back for an amendment, and time's a little bit before, I think it might have been 18 months ago or something like that, when we just modified the footprint. Essentially what we're doing, there was a 2-phase project, as you might recall. It was phase 1 and then a phase 2 expansion. Really, phase 1 is probably all that's going to be built. There's room to expand it, but...
Could you step up to the podium, only because we have so many people that love watching us on Thursday night?
Absolutely.
Instead of Thursday night football, they watch Raynham Planning Board.
Well, football hasn't started.
Phase 1 and phase 2. So is the grocery component opening up when you open up?
Yes.
Okay, so you just said you weren't doing phase 1 and phase 2.
Let me take a step back. I'm sorry if I was confusing. We essentially had the project set as you build a building and set room for a future expansion. The original building, the building that was back in the 2005
Yep.
approvals was about 150,000 square feet, expanded up to 210.
Okay.
We are building that 150, it's about 155,000, whatever the exact number is. We're building that now. There really isn't any plans to expand that. What
Okay.
they've done through the...
But, all right, what I'm thinking of is the wording that we originally did has nothing to do with square footage or anything else. It has to do with phase 1 being Walmart store, phase 2 being groceries. Phase 2 is opening up. The grocery component of this is opening up. That's when it's going to open up all at the same time. That's the component that went with Center Street. So anything that you look at for Center Street goes with phase 2. They're saying there is no phase 2, but because it's all being done, and I don't care about the square footage of building or any of that, and I don't think...
We want our light.
Yeah.
We want the light, period.
And we want to give you your
But
light.
the only thing with the light is it's tied to the second part.
A supplemental agreement, we can take care of all of that.
Right.
And he's already told us phase 1 and 2 are now one phase.
So I'd like to get
Exactly.
clarification on what
the chair is suggesting we do to the bond agreement. One is to adjust the language to specifically state Center Street lights, and you mentioned a deadline.
I think there should be a deadline put on it, because the way it's written right now, it could stay there for 10 more years.
What
And
do you think would be a reasonable
I'm
time?
gonna reach out to them, I don't know, I'm not doing the development.
Let me ask you a question, to answer that. The other gentleman said that it can't be done before you want to open.
Correct, and the reason being, there's going to be, by the time we get our approval, we're going to be in the dead of the winter, and we won't be able to do the roadway work to do it. It isn't just a signal, it's
So
roadway work.
when can you have it done by? 6 months thereafter? Your
Hopefully.
TO?
And Gary can expand on this, we've had the DOT permit submitted for quite some time. It's held up in the process. As soon as we get it, our intention is to issue construction drawings to these folks so we can get the process rolling. The plant's open back up presumably in April, at which point we'd hope to hit the ground running with that. At the same time, the finished top coat that goes on would make the
So
most
if
sense.
if we're looking to come up with a time limit, and we're not looking to squeeze you by a month, it just has to be, we have to put a time limit on that money.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a forfeiting of the $800,000 with this agreement.
What if we did, say, November 1st of 2014?
And let me add to that, Henry made a comment was, is that $800,000 gonna be enough? Because if it's
Correct.
not gonna be enough, then maybe when they get their temporary occupancy permit, they have to come up with a couple $100,000 more.
Well, that's why I was mentioning a
Well,
potential.
we can take care of that very easily. You just don't give them a PO until the light goes up at Church Street. And TO is only good for a year, permanent occupancy.
They only operate under a temporary until you get the light ups that you've got.
But that's the rub we run into, is once somebody's in and operating, who's gonna go in, and if they don't do it, who's gonna go in and pull them out of there?
We will.
Well,
And that's where you have the $800,000 bond.
Yeah.
We have the $800,000 bond, but the problem is we don't have the right to do anything with that $800,000. The way it's worded right now, that $800,000 can sit there.
So we want to amend it so we can
So,
take the money, which we want to increase.
There's gonna be something to do with the time frame, and Wellmont's gonna lose the money that's put up for those lights if it's not done or started or something.
There were provisions in the original approval that had a timeline upon which that money reverted to the town.
Okay, so,
I don't know how the
why
bond
don't, John, you can review that, and then you can turn around and make suggestions. You understand what we're talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Everybody understands what the Center Street lights.
But that's why, Dan, do you think it would be appropriate to look at that bond now that we're years down the road to see if that bond amount is appropriate?
I most definitely. I mean, we have to have the money for those lights and for the improvements for Center Street, period. If it's $1 million, then they have to come up with another $200,000 for a temporary occupancy permit.
I'll talk to Niels and Thomas.
I mean, it's gotta be.
Do you have any price stuff on that?
The 800,000, it should be more than sufficient for what we're looking at now. I think originally there was, the project was to be built by DOT. They were looking at a much bigger project in widening out shoulders and doing appreciable right-of-way takings along the entire corridor that, since it's going to be done by Walmart.
I think we doubled it at the time. I think they said they could do it for 3-something or 400,000. We said, okay, well, give us 800,000 because.
Even if it's just a confirmation by Niels and Thomas that.
That's fine.
is still
That's
appropriate.
all we need.
And Dan, one more thing. So what I'm hearing now from Gary is that, with the exception of Center Street, the other traffic improvements are anticipated to be complete by March, with the exception of the finished coat of pavement.
Right, so it should be functionally operating as the final condition is intended to be.
Okay, well, it has to be functional.
Yeah, and as there may
For-
just be some.
For temporary, for this board to sign off, anything that has to do with.
Yeah, because that's not
Traffic-
the impression I got previously.
Traffic or safety issues, that won't happen. Center Street, we understand with Center Street, that was a whole different fixture, and I do appreciate the effort going to the state and making the changes. That was something that we asked for, but it was very important to the people that been there forever.
Yeah, and we'd like, even if you know, there's possibilities for you to call and prompt the district to expedite their review, that would.
If I were you, I would. Because it's part of a temporary occupancy.
I've been in
That's-
contact with the district about McDonald's and Carver Street. I know I spoke to you about that, Gary, and I did hear from Mr. McKaylee about that, and he's waiting to hear from McDonald's, so I still would like to have a sit-down about that.
Sure.
Sometime
Yeah,
soon, just
so-
to facilitate that conversation. But I think the first step, Dan, would be to get Beals and Thomas to evaluate that bound amount and see if that's accurate, and then go from there.
Get an estimate from Beals and Thomas first.
Yep.
That'll be after we get
Yeah, and then,
a discussion on that.
then once we have that determined, we can work on the language.
Right. And as long as those components are done for March, I don't think this board will have a problem issuing a temporary.
Is that your goal, end of March, to get a temporary?
You guys can talk a little more, but I know it's a March timeline to have all the building work done and have it ready.
Let me just, actually, it's probably worth clarifying, Jack, you might be able to answer this. The store opening, I just want to confirm, is, the store opening, I mean, public, that's March, correct? What they-
March what?
5th or 6th?
It's somewhere around the first to second week of March.
And all your lights will be operational by then?
Yes. What they do, I just want to, they go in and will fixture the store prior to that. Once they get all the life safety items and all that sort of thing, then they come in, put all their racks, and they start merchandising it. That would be about a month prior, is that correct? So about a month prior to that, we need to fixture it. So I don't know if there's a temporary that's needed for that, or how the town works.
No, because that's.
Yep, that's still under construction.
That's fine, I just
No,
wanted
yes.
to make sure there wasn't
Soon as that door opens up for the first
Customers,
public
yeah.
customer to walk through that door, you need an occupancy, or
Yeah,
temporary
we're
occupancy.
all
Need
under
to
the same.
deal with building department on those things.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, okay. We all set?
Right. Thanks.
All right, so we're gonna work on getting some lights set up, and hopefully we're gonna be having our engineer going out there for a review. Talking about Beals and Thomas, I'm not sure, I don't think, and maybe we should make that decision now, I almost think Judith Nitch should continue with this, because if we go through Beals and Thomas now, they're gonna have to get up to speed. And Nitch already did we spent so
And
much.
Very expensive to get them up to speed.
Well, and we don't want, you know what I'm saying? I think if we continue working with Nitch was all part of the original design work, they have all the information.
I think that's a good.
I almost think.
And we're not looking for a detailed
I don't.
figure.
No,
We just want to know, is it 400, 600, or 800?
Exactly.
A telephone call should be enough to do that.
Okay.
And honestly, we have cost estimate information we can share with them and even expedite
That
that
would-
process.
Yeah, that would be good.
And the second part I was going with that is, we're gonna be asking Nitch to go out to do a site inspection, so don't get to be March and say, well, we're almost
Good
there.
point.
We're almost there. And we really wanna open up, because we have milk in the refrigerator and it's gonna go bad. Well, too bad. Whoever's, I'm just telling you right now, if it's not done, don't come in front of this board asking for temporary occupancy permit.
Do you understand what he's referring to?
Yeah, I assume you're primarily talking about all of the on-site.
Yeah.
I don't care about the on-site, I'm talking about off-site, I'm talking about all the lights.
The lights and the on-site, and getting to us in time for our engineer to go out and look at it.
Because the lights, I mean, we'll be working with DOT on the lights. I mean, if you want Nitch involved, just, we'll make,
That was part of our approval process.
Okay.
Having sidewalks, lights, widening, all of that was part of our approval process.
Yeah,
And
obviously the entrance and exit from the premises.
So you are working with DOT, but you also had to come to us for approval.
Right.
So that, you're gonna have your lights done. You say you're gonna have everything but your sidewalk, but the finished pavement, and that's fine. Don't come to us in March and say, well, here's a list of things that aren't done.
Okay, and you're just looking for Nitch to confirm they were done?
That's
as
it,
opposed
no
to-
different than any other project we do in the town of Raynham.
I just wanted to clarify on inspection, because there's electrical inspections.
No.
DOT, so-
Site approval, the
Site work.
site plan that we
Site
have.
work and traffic.
That's it, because, and I say instead of Beals and Thomas, because Nitch did have a traffic
good idea.
engineer
Good idea.
come in, and, there was so much work that went into this, and I just hate to have, you pay, I'd rather see you donate to a girls softball team in Raynham than pay another engineer for more work.
Okay, no problem.
So let's do.
So I'll reach out, I'll coordinate with Gary and Steve in the coming
Yeah.
days and get that done.
So you know we're going with niche engineering. If there's any communication, you have the right to call niche engineering yourself and make sure. I don't care if you call them tomorrow and you start working with them until March.
Okay.
You can bring them on board and get them up to speed and say, this is what we're doing, this is what the board wants. So it's not, we're all sitting here waiting, you want to open up in March, and that's great, but we just, we didn't work with niche to get everything done.
Still John Schmidt, or you don't?
Us.
Yeah, I would contact John Schmidt. John is the key guy, but we've been.
John moved up a.
Yeah, John's a
Yeah,
little higher.
Steve Ventresca's been doing a lot of site work.
But
I think John will.
We can let it decide between the two of them, but if John.
I know Steve well, too, so.
If John is already up to speed on it, it might be better to pay him the extra differential between the two people because he already knows it.
Yeah, it's niche engineering, whoever they elect.
Either of them are fine.
Whoever they elect to put on, it doesn't matter to us. All right, we all set, anything, but if there's anything else that needs to be clarified, cleared up? Nope, all set? All right, very good, thank you. Place looks very good, by the way. There is a lot going on. Did you see a lot of those sad faces? I don't think they're gonna be ready for much. But I don't think they'll put milk in the refrigerator neither. Okay, very good. Maureen, is there anything we need for 1746? There's no.
No, I guess he might have changed his plans, he was trying to.
We didn't act on anything, so there's no time to worry about, and we did sign the older plan for FedEx.
There wasn't a hearing, it was
Coming in for discussion, but I just,
To see if you needed site plan. He might
in
have changed
FedEx, he has a signed plan from the original. If he
The
wants to
original.
change it, then
Yep.
he still has to come in front of us.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, just to recap quickly, we have our fees. You're going to send us out one sheet showing everybody what they are. We're going to vote on it December 5th.
Yep.
And you're going to include that
The abbreviated.
abbreviated portion of it.
Each week, yeah.
We have,
What's going on?
in our packet, I want you guys, we're not going to discuss it tonight because we've had a full agenda. There's something in here from Beals and Thomas explaining about George's Estates at Campbell's Court, about their fees. If you guys can just review that, and I think we'll discuss it maybe December 5th when we have a little more time, because I think you'll find it
Is
interesting.
that the November 18th letter?
Yes. I was interested. No, October 21st.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward.
So, I'm going to table that until then. Okay, I'm going to hand this over to John quickly. Route 138 update, what's
Route 138, as Dan's aware, we had our first committee meeting in a long time the other night. Some new members. We briefly touched on a few things. Didn't make a heck of a lot of progress on those things, but I'm hoping to set up another meeting the first December 9th. And we're going to get really specific and start tackling the issues we have in front of us one by one to move this forward. So, because I left that meeting not very pleased to spend 2 hours and not making much progress, and I don't intend to waste more of anyone's time.
Look at, no comment.
I've been working on it for 20 years.
Metro VW, they did come in and extend their temporary CO. The board had approved a 60-day CO. They only applied for a 30, so they had another 30 days leeway, so they took it, and they're finishing up the work out there. Dan's aware of that, and we've been in conversations with Roger Stolte about the curbing out there, so.
Is Judith Mitch, Beals and Thomas overlooking some of this
Yes,
stuff?
yes, they are. King Estates, the 22 trees were planted. I've been coordinating with Roger on that, on their locations. Those are in, with Roger's blessing. He just wanted to make sure they were all 8 feet off the curb. I went out and measured, and they were. Their as-built from a year ago, I think, have been deemed okay. So I think they're going to be ready to come forward for street acceptance in the spring for phase 1 through 3.
Good.
Beekeeping regulations, I talked to Dan about this the other day. One of the residents in a residential neighborhood had a neighbor who was keeping beehives and really wasn't very schooled in it, and the bees were creating a nuisance in his property during the summer, swarming around his swimming pool. And in doing some research on beekeeping, working with the Board of Health agent, the selectmen asked myself and Dave Flaherty to work on a zoning bylaw amendment to regulate beehives. This is a growing trend, so I think it can be a public health hazard, people being allergic to them. So Dave and I put together some draft regulations that got a favorable response from the Board of Health. I shared them with Dan the other day, and he didn't disagree. We might tweak the setbacks a little bit, but just stay tuned that's going to be coming forward here after the new year, going into spring town meeting. And that's an article that likely the Board of Health is going to agree to sponsor, since it is a public health, and naturally the planning board will have to hold a public hearing. 53G account releases. Maureen and I have been working for the past few days or a week on projects where we're still holding peer review account money, but the projects have been completed, and either there have been occupancy permits issued, or there were no occupancy permits required because, for instance, the flea market had solar panels put on their roof.
Right.
So I've drafted letters and sent them out, and so we're working on getting those monies released so that can get off the town books, because we just don't want money sitting on our books for year after year or so.
I think it was a nice touch that you asked each one of them by letter if they wanted to donate the
That
money
was
to the town.
that was Dan's suggestion.
Oh, that was yours? Well, I like it, Dan, I just wanted to let you know.
Like you said, Dan, it can't hurt to ask, right?
Nope, can't hurt to ask.
At first, when I got that email, I started laughing, and I told Maureen, she goes, "No, he's serious, that's an option." I said, "Okay."
Well, actually, I would have
didn't
changed
realize.
it. I would have put in, if we don't hear from you in the next 30 days, we will assume it, and we will make it as a gift to the town.
Take a batch.
Yeah, we need a signature, though.
We will appropriately, at the next meeting, thank you in front of the public. So it'll be well worthwhile.
And just one more quick thing, I noticed the article on the Gaming Commission. The Gaming Commission is holding a public hearing on December 5th, night of our next meeting from 4 to 6 p.m. at the middle school. I'm planning on going to that, not to all of it, obviously, but to a good chunk of it until to come back here for the meeting. So if anyone's interested in going to that, that'll be happening.
And this is, just for anyone who might be listening, this is the state gaming.
Correct.
Gaming commission. It has nothing to do with the vote.
On the
What
that
are
we
they
took.
doing? Just a question and answer type thing?
That's a good question. It's a public hearing. I'm not sure what the format's going to be, Burke, so I have to wait and see that night.
Okay, that's it. So I do have one other thing in our packet, and it is Supreme Enterprise, Davos Supreme, 855 Broadway, construction's completed. Dear Planning Board, this letter is to inform you all work has been completed at 855, which is Supreme Plaza. I would like for you to release all the remaining funds that have been held. I took a ride by there when I went down to Lincoln Woods. Everything is done, except I did notice there's the planting of the trees from them to the abutting house. They did do the fence, they did plantings of the trees, but there's 2 dead 6-foot-tall arborvitaes, which need to be replaced. I would like to.
Do you want John to contact them?
Well, I would
response to our letter?
I would suggest that we can release funds, but I would like to hold, how much funds are we holding?
That's what I'm looking for, I wrote it down. One second here.
Did you pull in off of Broadway?
I did.
As soon as you pull into the do not enter sign?
Yep.
I'm a little confused as to what that means.
I went around the plaza twice.
If I want to go get a pizza, do I have to drive around the drive-through of the?
Quite not sure. I did.
I think
And
that-
then there was.
Well, I think whatever the sign is not clear, and I've got a acknowledgement over there that it's not clear to somebody
That was-
else there, too.
I have no comment on it. That was the plan that I voted against. So you guys can take care of that one. I drove around twice. Some older lady was backing up, and I shouldn't say older lady. She was,
Could be my age.
she
was. I think you just offended.
Well, I just-
Under the table.
There was a young lady.
Stop talking, maybe you should have voted for it.
There was a young lady, and she was parked on the side of the building in the back. She could not back up and come out. She
Is
had
that
to
where,
back up.
is that where we have the
He did the
slanted
curbing.
lanes?
Yes. So she realized, which give her credit, because I was sitting, and I think I made her nervous because I had a truck. So she realized that she couldn't do what she wanted to do, so she backed up and she went around the building.
Good.
And it worked. She went around the building. The problem is, no parking, fire lane, there's back doors to those tenants, and they're parking, the back of the building was full. Every parking spot was taken, it looked, all the, it worked very well. There was plenty of room to move, and I had a truck. But I would,
Do you get around okay?
yeah, I did.
Okay.
And I would just let them know that, okay, where it says no parking, fire lane, you know, let their employees, their tenants know to let their employees, please do not park there, because that lady stopped, slowed down, made sure she got around the car. It wasn't a big car, but, so it worked for her to go around the building, but if there's gonna be people parking where they shouldn't be
Gotta leave
parking,
that fire lane
it's gonna be a problem. So I would suggest that we leave funds in there until next season for all of those trees. There's already 2 trees, arborvitae's dead, that they have to replace. But I would say we release all funds except $3,000 for.
Do you want me to have,
Well,
I
there's only
want-
3,500 in there, so.
I don't want to release anything till we get the sign issue.
There's only,
Then I would,
there's only 3,600.
That's his project review account. There's no bond there. That's all he submitted.
well, I would.
That's what he's asking for, he just
Right.
doesn't know it.
well,
I
right,
would,
if we're still reviewing it, then.
Yeah, I
then
think
we
we
are.
are still reviewing
Then
it.
I'm not making a motion to release anything.
Okay.
But you have to figure out the sign problem.
Yeah, I think you need
I
a
would
letter
say,
to him.
You know, even though, you know.
Well, what is that
technically-
sign there for? I'm confused.
Well, I'd have to go check that out. because-
You have to look at the plan and see what the plan was supposed to,
Yeah.
but I would suggest, I think even Maureen said she was
It's confusing.
was confused
Yeah.
going in there.
So is that from Broadway or from,
Coming in from
Carver?
Broadway, you pull right in, and there's a do not enter sign. Well, is it a do not enter because just for the drive-through of the donut shop? That
It
you're
also
not
says-
driving into there?
But it
or-
also says one way.
So is it okay to go off to the left, to go to the, you know, the
No,
pizza
because it
place
says
and
one
so
way.
on? Or is everybody absolutely supposed to go all the way around
It
the
says
donut
one
store?
way.
well, I entered from Carver Street when I went there a couple weeks ago, and it was very crowded, it was very hard
So I would
to move
say
in
the
there.
board does not have to act on this.
No, we're not.
tonight.
We're not.
It's just, let's take a look at the sign
Do you
being
want to
clear,
recycle this stuff?
and the arborvitae's, and maybe craft a letter with these issues saying, once these have been taken
Right.
care of.
Okay. And we've already addressed Berry Hill. Next time, we're going to talk about Beals and Thomas, when we talk about our fees. Everybody can read that and come up with their comments. Yep. We did all of those. John said that they came in, we gave them a 60-day occupancy permit. They only asked for 30.
applied for 30, but
So
they
they-
came in renewed for another 32.
They should have listened to us, huh?
So, yeah, apparently,
Minutes, any
they
minutes?
get done so quickly. so-
All right. Can't believe we're already through November, and I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving, best holiday of the year. Okay.
I think it is.
Wow.
Huh?
I like it.
I do. Very good, meeting adjourned.
Thank you